on the cloud. Okay. All right. So welcome to another installment of Exploring Consciousness with our Earth Nouveau Explorer team and our other lovely visitors. Our topic today is Dreamtime. And what I would like to do, I'd like to unpack the topic of dreams, dreaming from the context or within the context of global Dreamtime awakening. And we'll see how that goes. And before we get started with any questions you have or anything else we're going to discuss, I'm just going to read the chapter of the Synchronistic book about Dreamtime. And when I say chapter, it's literally just 2 pages, all right? But it will get us into that type of energy. So let me just do that. So, well, nice to meet you finally. I am Dreaming Body. How come it is only now that we have been acquainted? Whilst most nights are spent traveling with you from the sacral chakra. The acknowledgement of your existence brings up questions and curious longing for knowing more about your purpose and your travels. Who are you? Where are you going in those times of sleep paralysis? What are you capable of that I'm only starting to allow myself to acknowledge now? What does it take to get into the driver's seat in this journey with you to the worlds beyond this realm and conscious knowingness? If I could just stay awake enough to catch a glimpse of what or who you are, or is this the very wish of staying conscious that keeps me in the brain instead of dropping through the throat, the heart, the gut, straight into your sacred home, to greet you before getting ready for dream paralysis? A meeting of strangers, and yet there's that familiar feeling of closeness, a sense of deepest honor and respect. The I am Dreaming Body's tale of distant lands and adventurous visions from all realms of existence. With sacred discipline upon awakening, I try to journal all impressions, thoughts and feelings, trying to make sense and find clarity within the confined makeup of my very mind. What do you do when the dream is over? Where do you rest your tired armor from all the ventures made through times, dimensions, and galaxies? Allow me to take care of you when you need rest and clearing of any dream experiences, imprints, frequencies that infringe on your capacities. My curiosity keeps growing in my sacrum, pulsing cranial fluid, triggering thoughts and emotions, bringing more and more memories back to life. The I am Dreaming Body, one of the bodies most misunderstood, rarely talked about, and yet so truly grand in its measurable experiences, reaching out through portals to the dreaming world. Allow me to introduce myself, commune with you, inspire you, heal you from your traumas, learn from you, and create new worlds together in these times of global awakening. Let's travel in togetherness as consciousness explorers, rediscovering the magic of the mystical realms, the places yet to be acknowledged in this ever-changing tale of awareness. Let us connect and reconnect with our tribe, all ancestors, stars, families, guides, and guardians, to dream the new dream into being. If you can dream it, you can be it. Okay.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. So yes, there are quite a few points in it already we can address. And maybe to kick it off, we're just going to start talking about the mechanics of the dreaming body, because that is not, as I said in the book, it's not really widely discussed. What is the dreaming body? Where does it live? what is it going to take to get into sleep paralysis and all that type of stuff. Is there anyone who wants to kick that off from the Explorer group?
Well, you described it well in your book, that chapter.
Yeah, do you want me to say a few things on this? So when I first heard about that, and, you know, dreaming body is, you know, I haven't really read about it in any other studies or, you know, articles. That was something we learned through our mentorship with Andrew Bartzis, the galactic historian. And I was fascinated about the mechanics of it that we are so totally unaware of. I mean, we know about sleep paralysis, but what actually happens in order to go into sleep paralysis is that the chakras are having to shut down. So the top chakras, the crown, the third eye, the throat, the heart, they're all dropping down literally into the sacral chakra. And this is also where then this energetic wave pattern starts to be created, where lucid dreaming happens. Lucid dreaming happens actually at that stage before everything then drops into the root chakra. And then from the root chakra, it's actually the releasing literally of the dreaming body. The physical body goes in paralysis and the dreaming body starts moving on into the astral world, into all the different worlds to start having an experience. So for me, that was fascinating. I thought, oh my God, this is so interesting. How does that sit with you guys? Have you heard of that? Are there any questions that we may or may not be able to answer? But what do you think about that?
It's amazing, Martina. You've described it really well, actually. You know, I would have been aware that the dreaming body kind of lived in the colon in that area, but I wouldn't have had the detail that you have. So it's just amazing to see the way that what happens in our physical body in order to release it. You know, the chakras closing down and it dropping down into the root, and then it releases it and off it goes.
Well, this is obviously from the teachings by Andrew. So I was just interested in that. So I've taken a bit more of a, you know, detailed look into this. And it's quite interesting when we don't allow these chakras to shut down within its own time, and that can take up to 2 hours, literally, before that happens. We're actually not allowing, if we get drunk or something, or we have issues and it doesn't shut down properly, then there can be, that's when we don't have a proper dreaming experience, because it's almost like the physical body gets kicked into paralysis too quickly.
Sorry to interrupt. I love the fact that it opens like a flower. It's between the sacral and the root chakra, isn't it? And slightly above. So we also talk about it being stored in our intestines, which would bring us on to the other subject of how clean are your intestines and so on in a minute. But I love the fact it opens like a flower as well and expands. And our dreaming body must be the ultimate consciousness explorer. If you looking at it in that way, where it gets to go. And people don't think they do have a dreaming body, do they? They don't realise it is a dreaming, it's not done in the mind. It's a dreaming body that goes from us. And that's that whole concept is fascinating.
Yeah, I always thought it was the mind until I did that course with Andrew and discovered it wasn't the mind. It has its own separate body.
Yeah.
And it's like a time traveler, I suppose, too, in a way.
Yeah. It's our infinite, the dreaming body houses our infinite being, if you wish. It is the finite one. So, and that's why, you know, I think it is so important, for me anyway, to look at this stage now, because we are starting to bring the finite body together with the infinite. Having a conscious awareness of what that actually means makes this whole thing much more logical for me, because now it's okay, so this is my infinite body, the dreaming body, this is my physical, the final. So how can I now bring, this is the next thing, still talking about the mechanics, how can I bring that infinite dreaming information that the dreaming body has back into the physical body?
Yeah.
Because when the dreaming body comes back, it's almost like the opposite, where it starts coming back into the root and then everything closes back down and up again, you know? And that's when we then come into the physicality again. So we are time travelers. Every time we go to bed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I guess, Martina, that it's in the physical, you know, so that's a great question you were wondering there. How do we bring it back into the physical body? I suppose it gets into the physical body through the, you know, the memory in the cells, but we mightn't consciously be able to remember the dream. And how much of it then is in the body, and how much of it can we kind of ground if we can't fully remember it?
Yes.
Can I interject?
Please.
Yes, do, please.
Please do.
You're helping me to understand the technicalities of what I'm aware of, but not the process. Well, first I'll start by saying I just wrote a book about mastering emotions, which you'll be getting a few copies of in the mail in maybe a week, Martina.
Thank you.
I started my journey about 45 years ago and developed a process because I was very internalized with emotions and I didn't know what they were. I won't get into that. But when I started to awaken, I had a teacher and she had us write down our dreams. And through that process of writing, after a period of time, it was time consuming because trying to remember all you can just pick one detail and then all of a sudden the dream starts to come back. And it's time consuming to write it all out. However, I found out after a short period of time of what the dream was conveying, that the messages behind the mysterious stories that popped up. And I found out there were emotions behind it, or it was like an intuitiveness that developed of what the dreams were trying to convey. And it was like taking a conglomeration of all different things and forming a story out of it. And so I did this for about maybe a year or two. But then I started the writing process, starting to discover I opened through that writing process, I opened the door to what my book is all about. And the whole process started where I started revealing, how would I express that? Okay, I started trying to express my emotions because I wasn't in touch with them. And as I started to write them out, suddenly this whole process opened up. And after I experienced the emotions, I started writing about them and they were my teachers because they were teaching me something. This is something I had to go through because this has been my purpose in life. But then as you're talking, I kind of realized I very rarely remember my dreams anymore. If I do, I awaken to something I need to pay attention to. But I'm realizing that through the process, I've developed an awareness of my emotions at all times, and I work with them. And I feel that what you're talking about is that I've kind of merged my Dreamtime experiences into my present life, and that I become aware of what I'm feeling and I can work through that process. So I think what I'm trying to say from after hearing what you're talking about, I wasn't sure what this topic was going to be about. I thought I was going to learn something new, but I'm starting to.
You may still learn something, babes.
No, I am. That's what I'm saying. It started to connect me to this where I never thought about this before. But I'm starting to realize that the process of what I was learning at the time of writing down my dreams is now a life process of awareness where
Fantastic.
every time I'm aware of an emotion, I go in and I work with it and I release it and make it into something else, which is what this book is about. But
Fantastic.
then I'm starting to realize by your talking that I'm not dreaming anymore, maybe because I don't have to.
Okay. I'd like to share something there, if I may. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One part of the dreaming, and you so beautifully just explained that now, is self-revelation, where you're working with your subconscious, and all of the subconscious stuff, it gets created through the dream world in order to get healed.
Right.
That's one element. And by the sounds of it, you've mastered the emotions now, so you can very much, with the level of awareness that you're at, you can very much do that in your daydream. Okay? Now, let me introduce just another element of dreaming, which might be interesting to you from a different perspective, not from an emotional mastery perspective, but from a perspective that when your dreaming body goes into the infinite realm, you have the opportunity to start meeting literally, your dream society, if you wish, your tribes, your guides. You may do that in your daydream already. And in addition, just by focusing on that before you allow, all the chakras to close down and drop into your root, you could make that intention and say, okay, hang on a second. So what if I could now start using, my emotional mastery, my dreaming body to go out there and start creating something that I have never even considered possible? Because the infinite realm out there will allow me to share dream space literally with all the different versions of yourself on different timelines, dimensions, and universes, as well as, other species, if you wish, other worlds, if you wish. We have 6 planets, so you can explore and write a new book.
So how do you do that then?
Anyone wants to?
That's can I just say something there, Martina? It was just something that Andrew has said about dreaming, and just in connection with what you were saying, how you can decide to go out and dream and connect with, your higher self and whatever. He was saying that soul family groups can link in Dreamtime, and they can link all over the world and all over the universe, and that the power of domination and control tries to prevent that, because they know the power that we will get if we can do that. And we can do that. That's natural for all of us to do. And that he said the galactic central sun can affect our unified dreaming space, and that everybody is entitled to that, to be able to connect to your star family and beyond.
Yes.
So it's
right.
benefit, what we can achieve if we can achieve that.
It is our birthright to be able to do that, which is why a process before you go to sleep, I find, really helps me. I mean, it's whatever works for you, but it starts off with like the protection of your bed space with crystals and so on. And then for me, I always read a sort of a bedtime revocation or prayer before I go to bed, before I go to sleep. And one of the things is dreaming with the Aurora Borealis, our ancestors in the North Pole. And I always try and picture the North Pole, the Aurora Borealis, before I go to sleep. Now, not always. I'm just saying sometimes with the intention, then I can get the connection. But I don't always remember if I've had the connection, and sometimes it comes out later in the day. You'll know that, Salome. It doesn't always come straight away, does it? What the connection you've had will come out in a sentence, and you think, where did that come from? I didn't know that. It's just amazing how your dreaming body then interacts with your higher selves and gives you the information you need to lead your life. That's what I find wonderful about it. But for me, yes, the intention before I go to bed, I actually record a lot of Andrew's and my own, because I think it's really important to write your own prayers and revocations and to read them in your voice. But I record a lot of them, and I might play them for an hour on my pillow before I go to bed that night. So that's just part of a little ritual I've set up, as well as the spiritual hygiene, which we'll discuss, or we have partly discussed, and saging the room and washing your bed sheets in salt to keep things neutral, so you don't go out and play with some negative energies or let them.
Yeah, I think that's why I haven't played around with that, because my focus has been more about writing all these years to put together a book, and I have kind of avoided that portion of it, not knowing enough about it, wanting perhaps, or waiting till I have the proper guidance to do that. So I haven't been willing to leave my body at this point. I did one time, but that's another story.
That's another thing though, isn't it? Your astral body is not your dreaming body. Your astral body is the one that goes to the fourth dimension.
Yeah. No, I've been accepting of a process. I haven't questioned where it came from. I saw the benefit to it, so I just allowed it and said, okay, I'm just going to follow it. But I never questioned where it was coming from. It was all a trusting process. It wasn't an easy process.
Okay. I need to. There's so much going on. You've been mentioning so many amazing things. Okay, let me just rein it back in so that I'm getting lost with it. There's so much stuff. Laura, remember the Aurora Borealis. We need to talk about that. Yeah. I just want to say two things here. As Laura already touched on that, the dreaming body, you do it, Salome, you do it every night. Okay? You get out of your body every night. As soon as you go to sleep, you're getting out of the body. Okay. Now, very important to now look at the difference. What is a dreaming body, a dream experience, and an outer body experience? Outer body experience is a completely different thing. Mm. So the dreaming experience is the mechanics, what we have just been talking about. The outer body experience is very different. Okay, and this is when you come directly out of the heart, out of your third eye, and out of the crown. Yeah, you're not dropping all the chakras down. You come directly out of the first three chakras, and actually then you are attached via a cord. So that's why sometimes, so it's a very different experience. The dreaming body experience is very different. We've got Andrew on the line here too. Hi.
Hello, how you doing?
Hello.
Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. I got some free time. I figured I'd come in and feel what's going on over here.
Well, we're just spreading your good work, basically.
Yeah.
Aww,
you have been mentioned a few times already.
And here I am.
Andrew, we're talking about the dreaming body today, and also we've already started leading into the global Dreamtime awakening, because that's the other thing what Mary actually added, by understanding our Dreamtime societies and that we can connect on a Dreamtime level. This is actually the way we can, understand the global Dreamtime awakening in a completely different perspective, and this whole thing starts to make much more sense.
As we wake up to a much broader world than United States, United Kingdom, Africa, borders with lines that have been drawn by old men from hundreds of years ago. Borders are an illusion, and the Dreamtime societies don't operate via borders. They operate via signature frequency. And that is what creates the connections and separations in societies, a series of synchronicities that aligned societies into a theme, much like going to Disneyland has Mickey Mouse and so forth, or Hanna-Barbera cartoons or British cartoons. Each theme or theme park has a set of signature frequencies that create an evolution, a more of a somewhat negative but positive word, involution, meaning an inward evolution solely for inward evolution. And those are Dreamtime societies that help support very potent souls who want to go on very deep Dreamtime journeys. They want to enter the Dreamtimes of Dreamtime places of tens of thousand places simultaneously to expand their own Dreamtime capacity. And then there's the Dreamtime of your local city, your country. Each of those are different layers of being in a society that is trying to understand evolution, forced evolution, and many, many other subject matters. And then there are very refined Dreamtime societies, which are what your guides and guardians are a part of, or various religions.
Yeah. So if this is your opportunity, you've got the man here. He's the master. If you want to ask questions, you go for it. Otherwise, I'll just shoot.
Well, I don't want to interrupt. I also want you to, I just want to listen in too. I get to be a student.
Yeah. Well, is there anything that came up for you, Salome? Or we've got Jill on it, we've got Norman, we've got Sue. So anyone who wants to throw a question in for us in this one, with what I just said, Dreamtime societies.
No, you go beyond my awareness on
I
that
have
one.
one question, actually.
Okay.
Go for it.
It would be, Andrew, how do you know, with all of the different Dreamtime societies that there are out there, can we choose the one that we're going to dream with or travel with during our dream time?
In our current state, no.
No, okay.
No, but do you get to choose what you dream about every night?
No.
So it's a no with a why not?
Right.
We haven't achieved what part of personal sovereignty over in our dream world. There's the next journey, the next evolution, which is the Great Dreamtime Awakening. Yes. Meaning we can choose what society we want to dream into. And we're not limited by what this society tells us.
Okay.
It's actually realizing that and taking the sovereignty of that decision, isn't it?
Yes, and then understanding, claiming your sleep time, you are not affected by your nation's borders or rules or laws or procedures or cops or military or secret this or that.
Are revocations enough for that? And intention?
Revocations only go so far. They're there to get you out of mediocrity and on the path of superiority over yourself. And then there's a point where you need to create beyond the next level of revocation, which is probably not in language. It is probably more action manifestation based, be it a piece of artwork, a song, or a giant fire that, transmutes and transforms something, with all of those other techniques that, like a ladder, support everything more and more and more.
So another avenue of expression.
Yeah, that allows more sub-avenues and tributary avenues to be a part of it, yes.
Which is underpinned by joy.
Well, joy is a main river. It's like like here in the States, we have the Mississippi River meets the Missouri River. They're two gigantic rivers. So, and then all their tributaries meet. So joy is one of those main rivers. But the other one is synchronicity, flow, and all those other descriptive adjectives that are all major rivers too.
And also I want to add to this, the awareness of just having an awareness of what's actually going on, having an awareness that the location that you live in, the city that you live in, the country, like Andrew said with the borders, that is actually impacting on your dreaming experience.
Subconsciously.
Yeah. This is, through tacit consent, through unawareness, we so often get entangled in something that is so easily, not easily maybe, but, it's possible to change by just having an awareness about it. you know, and then you can say, okay, I do not consent to being dragged into my cities. I mean, I live in London. London is a huge sacred geometry city. So with me having an awareness that I could enter with the consciousness, the Dreamtime consciousness of that city, I can take responsibility for that to a certain extent and do whatever it takes to not get entangled with that. At least I can strive towards that.
And there are many sort of layers of things you can do to get disentangled as well from that, isn't it? From, you know, your grandmother's soups on the land and other things I know we can go into on other sessions, but there is alchemy one can do as well as the revocation.
And along the lines of entanglement, I'd also like to mention at this stage that depending on who you are in the house with, you know, depending on the family, you're sharing dream space with your family. So, and with the neighbors, you know, immediately next to you, depending where you live again. So all of that has an impact too. So it's very important to just have an awareness about that sometimes what comes up in your dreams, not everything is completely connected to what you're going through. It could also be just something that you're picking up.
And I think we do a lot of work for and with others in our dream time, which is why I think journaling is really important too. I would just say to everybody here, journal your dreams, because it's amazing what answers actually come up in your dreams too, isn't it? And the work I have remembered and recorded a lot of my dreams, and I know some of the work I've done in getting rid of negative energies from my partner. You know, Mary and Martina know this. We've shared this before with the mentorship with Andrew. But your dreaming body can work quite hard, I think, in dream time. It's just such an amazing, because it's just infinite, isn't it? What your higher selves are doing while you're sleeping.
Yeah.
No wonder sometimes we wake up tired.
What does it take to remember your dreams though? Because every night I go to sleep, I ask to remember, but I never seem to remember.
I have to shut down, I think it's the parasympathetic, and say that my I am sovereign self is in control of remembering my dreams. And it helps if you're not woken up with an alarm, which is why in this current situation with the quarantine, hopefully more people are dreaming and dreaming longer, and therefore they can wake up slower. And then through intention to write, you know, I have to have a notebook and pen by my bed and write down, even in the middle of the night. Sometimes it's not always legible, but I do try and write something down which will trigger me in the morning to remember the rest of the dream. But you're right, Gillian, they are so easily forgotten with the distractions of the day. You wake up.
Yeah, so in addition to intention, it's commitment to practice it. It's almost like we, you know, most people don't even know that they have a dreaming body. So I think it's that conscious application over a certain period of time until it becomes a habit, so that we can actually then pull those dreaming informations into the physicality, you know. And of course there's I know people that have 7-8 dreams at the same time,
all at once. They're all overlaid. It's like, and that happens often too. A lot of people have that.
Yeah. So what is your take on that, Andrew? I have something, but you know, you might want to come in here and actually tell us what is your take on that when people have these overlaid different multitudes of dreams.
Just like I said before, there are certain Dreamtime societies that help us evolve or involve our next layer, where you're dreaming in many places at once. And the purpose is to prove it as a soul that you can do it. And the I am is the direct manifestation that's showing the universe that it's happened.
Okay.
And the reason one would have that as a manifestation is to validate the great Dreamtime awakening for other Dreamtime societies who have lost faith in it coming.
Okay. Would you also say there's an element of a multitude of different residual images that require emotional mastery and resolve?
Absolutely. But some residual images need a residual time, and that's why many of them feel like they're layered over. And that residual time is the actual synchronistic manifestation of multiple time frequencies in a dream, layered over each other. That's the multiverse, the uniworld layered one on top of each other, like a dovetail.
Yes, okay. So they're basically, fluctuating from one to the other timeline, that type of stuff. Yeah, constantly. Okay. So
but one is not codependent on the other.
Okay,
None of the experiences are codependent on each other. They're each byproducts of their own selves.
Okay, so would you say that one can control your dreaming body? Is that part of what I'm thinking is we need to start taking control, but not in a controlling way, of our dreaming bodies, to not let them just run away and dictate what's going on?
For lack of English, control is the only word we can use right now, but there can't be a manipulation or agenda behind it. It has to be a non-agenda, which is more discipline than control.
Yeah, and we can actually use communication, cooperation, co-creation with the dreaming body rather than control. I don't necessarily like control, but absolutely. Starting to become the friend for your dreaming body.
That's where equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchical order can replace control with an emanated state.
Okay. So that just opened up a completely different scenario of what is possible, what we haven't even considered, because we're so busy in getting carried away with what's happening on this planet Earth at the moment, whilst we have all these other infinite dreaming societies and possibilities and all these different timelines, dimension and galaxies, universes open for us to start connecting with.
To start at a finite state and achieve infinite awareness of Dreamtime societies.
Yes, and pull it through into the finite state. Yeah.
So the finite flips and becomes infinite, just like the figure eight.
Yeah. It's a bit like Salome said earlier on. She said her emotional mastery over the last 45 years has been, she's mastered it now, so that she can actually now doesn't need to master more in her dream space. She can do it on a day-to-day basis in the daydream, more or less.
Or learn how to take short, super potent kitty naps where your intention is to enter multiple dream states. And you can use the stuff that's inside turkey, tryptophan, as an aid for that. And you do a ritual ceremony prayer which intends to bring yourself into many dreams at once. For 3 hours.
Turkey, the bird turkey?
Tryptophan, it's a super sleep aid.
My process is totally different than all of yours. Honestly, I've had past life. My process has been about tying up loose ends of past lives. I've had many, many memories of past lives brought into this life, the unfinished business that has not been completed. And I grew up with a lot of pain and I didn't know why. And as this process unfolded for me, I came to understand what was going on. I wasn't getting the full life span, but just the things that I didn't know how to resolve in those lives. And in that, somehow I was able to take the knowledge and wisdom I took from this life and apply it to the unfinished business and the other, and I was able to transmute the energies. So your total concept is totally different than what I've been involved in my world and perception. I mean, to me, I look at life as a mirror image, and if something out there, let's say, does not it bothers me in some way, I'm able to go inside and see where my point of view within myself needs to be resolved. So you're in a whole totally different concept and world than I am. It's like, I don't know. I feel like I'm in.
No, Salome, it's, look, this, you're not in a different world at all. Because
No.
working with all of that too, yeah? This is just taking it to the next level. You've just finished your book about emotional mastery. It's just coming out now, and it's available on Amazon. So if anybody wants to look up Salome, emotional mastery, that's what it's called, right?
No, I always forget the title. It's Mastering Emotions.
Okay.
Wait a minute. I have to look at it. You know what?
We can always plug it down there.
You know, it's funny. I finished the book. I was pushed to do this for a long time, and I kept putting it off and putting it off. And I finally did it. I got it out there, and then all of a sudden, now I'm living a whole different life. It's like, that's all done with. You know, it's over with. Yeah. But it's like healing and awakening. God, why can't I remember it?
No, don't worry about it. So I think, you know, I've been working, I'm a big fan of the mirror principle, and I worked with that many, many years too. And then once we started working with Andrew, there was a different perspective that came in. Mm-hmm. So once you become the energy of emotional mastery, you've got to ask yourself the question, so what else is out there? Oh yeah. And then, you know, Andrew is a galactic historian. When we were in Bosnia, I told you about him. I don't know if you ever looked him up.
No, my friend is a fan of his, so.
Okay.
So you got your PhD in the way you did it. Are you ready for another PhD?
Well,
you have what you want.
I know. I'm on this call to maybe learn more about what I'm not aware of in that field.
What you're going to discover is from all those past lives you've been resolving, you've learned this stuff just from a different point of view, an angle of perception. You've learned most of it because all of the topics and all of the themes, they all lead to the same thing, resolution of karma and the installation of dharma, where we flip the frequency where karma no longer holds us back, but propels us into creating dharma.
The way I've kind of looked at it too is that with each resolvement, it's like I was returning a piece of the puzzle to me. Mm-hmm. I call myself like a jigsaw puzzle, and each piece resolved brought me back towards wholeness. And I've experienced, it's like layer upon layer. I kind of referred to it like, remember the story of the princess and the pea? Mm-hmm. You're sitting on top of all these layers, and there's this pea at the bottom that bugs the hell out of you. Mm-hmm. But as you remove each mattress and you get to the bottom and you reach the pea, you begin to see the royalty of your being. Mm-hmm. And you know, that's what I'm saying. My focus has been more in what I consider, I don't know, this is Dreamtime, I've heard that before, but my focus has been more in resolving in this space than the Dreamtime space.
Which has been your drive of manifestation.
Right.
There are other people's whose drive of manifestation is to make something in the dream world have, let's just say, a solidified memory. And we get pieces of solidified memory from dreams all the time. Those are the people that remember a dream from 20 years ago. And that is an actual tangible mind space process when you get that. And when you begin to go work at the dreaming level with higher frequency parts of yourself, you're making tangible dream weave frequencies that are in your light memories, your photonic memories of light that are unforgettable.
Yeah, impressions.
When you have those unforgettable moments, you have many more puzzles to work with. And you're saying layered on top of it. What I call this is the uniworld layered on top of each other. Thoughts, all forms of thought, concept, perception, they're all layered on top of each other. And we choose, like the a la carte system, what we want to work on each day. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you've been a la carting. I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. You don't have to order off the menu.
No, I lived through a whole different process, and when I let go of everything, that's when everything becomes synchronistic.
And
so,
easy. And
yeah.
easy. Yeah,
It's
exactly.
letting go. That's the fun part. But it's
a major part for any spiritual growth is letting go of control.
Yeah.
So we've covered a little bit of, Jill was asking the question, how can I, recall my dreams a bit better? We've covered a little bit with the fire, with the obviously spiritual hygiene, having your bed, your entire bedroom, sort of with crystals if you wish, or clean bed sheets, whatever. Laura is the master with all of that. Salt baths. It's really spiritual hygiene, as you've heard us talk about before. We've talked about spiritual hygiene before, and that applies to the dream world too. In order, there's one thing I do want to raise, which has been not in my awareness, which also was brought through, the discussion to my awareness, was that we have a lot of dream space that is still locked in our system. And we were talking about the dreaming body living in the intestinal tract. So we often have dream energies that not necessarily are positive for our system, for our bodies, that are still stuck physically to bring the finite, the physical body back in our digestive system. So to clear our intestinal tract is not just beneficial for a better digestive system, but also to allow ourselves to dream better. Does that help in any way, Jill, to look at it from that perspective?
I've never thought about that before, so I do.
Yeah, so, colonics and blah, 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 the whole thing. I don't want to go into spiritual hygiene today, but there's also just the plain awareness of it, and again, contract revocation, we all work with contract revocations, we work with prayers, and you can put together your own words, basically, before you go to bed, and just really make a connection to all those old dream time experiences that were frightening at some stage in your life when you were a child, or not even in this lifetime. And you can start literally through awareness and your own words to start clearing that out too, to create more space, to have different and more positive experiences. Is there anything you want to add to this?
I was just going to say to Jill, what I do is read the previous night's dream before I go to sleep to get my mind in that sort of space of dreaming and remembering my dreams. That's the importance of keeping a dreaming journal, or one of the reasons. I find that helps as well. Andrew might have some tips for remembering dreams in the morning.
It really depends on what your journey has been, because as above, so below. So if you're not remembering your dreams, there is a reason. And if you're on a long-term process where you're not remembering it, there is a reason. And it invites self-investigation of why you're not dreaming. Now, I was telling you before about tryptophan. You can go out and buy something called L-tryptophan or D-tryptophan, preferably the L-tryptophan in like 100 to 500 milligram tablets. And it will give you the strongest cat baby nap you've ever had if you take it in the afternoon when you're slightly tired. And you'll sleep for about 3 hours and actually enter sleep paralysis very fast and come out of sleep paralysis very naturally. You won't be groggy. Well, you will be groggy, but you have a very good opportunity of having some kind of notion of where and what your dream world is doing. There are times that you're doing such high frequency missions and communications that you don't need a manifestation in the real world. And some people go 12, 15 years without remembering a dream. But most of the time they come out of the dream world and their world is in their face so much that the dream frequency isn't allowed to percolate into more of their awareness. And then having a discipline process before you go to sleep and right after you wake up, those first 10 minutes when you wake up are yours. It is not Roman numerals time to give you a schedule, to go to the bathroom, to do coffee. those where the greatest potency of discipline can reclaim yourself, because everyone's had a moment when you were a kid and you had to go to school and mom woke you up and you were in a dream. Let me go back to sleep so I can finish the dream. Has everyone had that experience before?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's natural. You can go back to sleep and finish the dream. It is a choice to keep the body in that restful state. So things like tryptophan can help you get back to what natural dreaming is like out of choice. And then after a while, you'll realize that majority of the pills are a crutch, but sometimes we need a crutch to get us back into the, oh, my body is really what's stopping me from dreaming. There's something in my parasympathetic that when I come out of delta and go into theta, instantly I want to go to alpha because I'm a type A accomplished person.
And this is why we have chosen Dreamtime as a topic for this week, because this is now our time where we don't have the world in our face, like Andrew said, where we have a pause, a reset, where we have time where we can clock out of Roman numeral time, where we can allow ourselves to really work with the dreaming body and bringing that infinite information into our awareness. This is now the time where we have not so much distraction.
You can have lions.
And the other thing, tryptophan, I just remembered now, you don't have to kill a turkey. I was just thinking, oh my God, you know, no, you don't have to kill a turkey. You can get it on freaking Amazon, actually. Get it on Amazon.
Can you
what is he saying?
You don't have to go kill a turkey. You can just go buy
Wait for a minute, and then I remembered, oh, actually, I bought them. I just never took them. So we've got Norman and Susan on. You guys, do you want to get a chance to say something here?
Well, I'm coming in. I'm a greenhorn in all of this, but in the UK here on radio and television, there's a guy who comes on who says he's a dream expert, chap called Ian Wallace. Have you come across him?
Name with Wallace we don't listen to.
He's a fellow Scotsman, so he must be good. And anyway, apparently he's got 12,000 words. So if you have a dream like a dragon comes up, you can immediately say the reason for that is a dragon, and this would be the 54th most common thing. I just wondered if everyone heard of him, or whether he's good, or whether he's worth listening to, or what.
I've never heard of him, but if somebody has an equation of 54 common things that define dreams, I would highly suspect of that, because dreams are infinite, and no way you can make a cookie cutter equation to define a dream. It's no more different than me going word salad. You know, what is word salad? Oh, you had a dream. Let's say your dream was about Laura and cooking. Well, there's a dream that you had carrots and Laura and driving in a car in a grocery store. That's word salad. They all may somehow connect, and it is you filling in the blanks. Our mind loves to fill in the blanks and make a story.
It's also exploring the dream time requires a certain level of trust in yourself. When stuff comes up, I mean, you can probably look at stuff, what they suggest it could be, but you've got to use your heart's discernment to say, okay, well, that's crap, and that I can work with. I sometimes look at the symbolism and just to get an idea of what resonates and what doesn't. But I think the level of, dream time exploration we're talking is actually where you just work with your own knowingness, what comes up. And we do a lot of, when we have dreams, we just throw them at each other in a group session, not necessarily to get too much input from the other person, but often just sharing it with somebody else allows you to get more information on the dream itself.
Because it's an infinite point of view, isn't it? The dream itself.
I also want to add, we've been sharing dreams since before there was a society. So before the first profession, there were people sharing dreams professionally. Okay?
So this is a very cool point.
Yeah.
That's a very cool point. When we look at our societies where we have lost not the capacity, we all have the capacity, but where we don't sit around the fire and share our stories, our dreams, and all of that, you know.
There's no safe zone for people to say, hey, I experienced this. Anybody else had any insight?
Yeah. Does that help, Norman?
Yeah, no, that's understood that. Yeah, thank you.
Would you like to add something to that?
Nothing more comes to mind at the present time.
Okay, good.
When I remember my dreams, it's like photos. It's not a story. It's just like snapshots that I can't really piece together.
How long has that been going on for?
Since forever.
So you've never had a dream that is like a movie, or you
not
just
really?
You probably have. You're just not remembering it.
Okay.
I see things like that in my third eye. I see movies, and then I see faces. Is that connected to something?
That's learning how to have to tune into multiple channels. You have a remote and a DVR and a tape player and all that other stuff. Now, Jillian, are you a type A personality? Do?
Yeah.
Well, then that's why you're.
How did you know that?
That's why you're remembering that way. Your brain, your alpha brain, is trying to organize the dream before you even wake up, and that is for lack of a better word, malfunction in the way your body. You're supposed to naturally wake up and open like a flower to the sun, instead of boof, I'm open, I'm at work.
Okay.
So you may want to work at self-mastery of that first 10 minutes, and it'll be challenging. Your inner body's like, go do, here's your list, and you got to go, no, peaceful, open like a flower to the sun.
Okay.
And you're not open for business for the first bug to come in and pollinate you either.
Yeah.
That's your challenge.
Challenging.
Would you say that is a rebellious dreaming body, or
Sympathetic?
Just kicking in right away?
Sympathetic, owning the body. Parasympathetic, telling the sympathetic, get to work, bitch. For lack of better words, it's taskmaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have to say sometimes in the morning to my sympathetic and parasympathetic that they're not in charge before they come and wipe away my dream memory.
Right, exactly, because they'll wipe that board.
Oh, yeah, really quickly. Yeah.
Erase the chalkboard right away. Yeah.
Yeah. But you can't tell.
Yeah, classes change. You don't need to see this no more.
So taking the sovereignty back from the world is connected to communing with your physical body, with being, I don't want to control, but working with your sympathetic, with your parasympathetic, being in a union rather than having the sympathetic or the parasympathetic, control you and your body.
See, oftentimes the parasympathetic will crack the whip on the sympathetic, and the sympathetic will hit your dreaming body with a brick, and then you forget everything.
Yeah.
And I use that metaphor because it is a trauma every morning you're waking up if you're not remembering a dream, because we are naturally supposed to remember our dreams, but our society has programmed us like this. That's why the 40-hour work week, the non-living wage are all such destructive processes for us.
Yeah, the blooming alarm clock.
Yeah.
You don't allow the body to control your soul.
The person that invented the alarm clock, there are dreaming societies around the universe that threaten harm to that being.
I bet. Yeah.
I wanted to say something. If we don't have any other questions, do we have any other questions at the moment?
Martina.
Go for it, yeah.
I'm sorry I missed the first bit of the call, so forgive me if I'm covering other ground. But I'm really interested in Earth's dreaming body and our relationship to Earth's dreaming body. and what changes she's going through right now.
Okay. Question to who? Choose one.
Just wondering on Andrew's take on that one.
So let me break a metaphor down. We are all part of Earth's dream. And do we technically live in her dreaming body? No. We live on her physical body. But she is simultaneously dreaming with every living being on the world to create a physical body. When we choose to be a part of our dream world and engage different Dreamtime communities, organizations, societies on the surface world, we become part of her mid or high theta dreaming frequency. When we reach that next level where we're really working high quality dreaming frequencies and doing missions, we're working with the astral dream world to create a benefit for the 7 past or the 7 future generations. And then when we're really superior at dreaming, we'll be in the hollow earth dream frequency, which is the dreaming body of Earth, where she achieves a dream state that will invite other societies from other places, spaces, frequencies, and time to be a part of the hub of interconnectivity, which is her dreaming with many other planets simultaneously as a part of a celestial Dreamtime society. So her dreaming body technically is in the inner earth, but we can get access to it when we've done our due diligence and self-mastery. And the surface of the world is that mid theta, high theta, light delta sleep state, the lucid state. And when we enter the lucid state as lucid, awake, and aware beings, we can make powerful manifestations on the surface of this world inside ourselves and the energies that are around us. And what is the state of her dreaming body? Perfect. We got to stop projecting onto Earth unhealthiness. So many of the promoters and influencers out there say Earth is sick. No, she's not. Not at all. Look, we've had 1 month of lockdown and the pollution has completely cleared up around the world. 1 month. You can go and see the pictures all over the world. The garbage bags in the center of the ocean, they're not getting new ones added to it. The oceans are clearing up. First time they've seen the Himalaya mountains from the Indias because there's no pollution there. And that's from 1 month of us not, being in lockdown. Earth is absolutely fine. Okay. Does she got some, a little bit of aches and pains going? Yeah, we're reaching a galactic weather is starting to trigger a little bit of what is it? What is the arthritis? Okay. You got a little arthritis going, but she ain't that old either. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we've got what? We've got the Earth go retrograde until what? Did you say November?
October.
Yeah. So that comes in addition to that. So that's that. And then the solar flares and the supernova. So there's a lot of stuff that's hitting us now.
And Earth is nowhere near menopause. I've kind of joked on that on a few shows. But it's the only way you can give definitions that take away that Earth is harmed. Because so many people think, Earth is near death. No, she's not. She's fine. She's fine.
I was just reading that the Earth has always existed. It's civilizations that come and go. So,
Exactly. It's civilizations that come and go.
Yeah, so I was just interested to know, but also, so how can we connect energetically to that dream space?
Self-mastery. Start with your own emotions. Learn blanket forgiveness for all that is, was, or ever will be. And you will propel yourself through the many layers of the dream until such a time you're ready to master excursions that have an agenda for many societies simultaneously.
Thank you.
And also, adding the joy bit again we talked about early on. Every time you go into your joy, every time you do your pottery, you are actually connecting already.
That's right.
Yeah.
Joy is one, like I said, one of those fundamental big rivers. And there's many rivers that feed the river of life.
And there are many dams in those rivers, aren't there?
Yeah, but some of them are necessary because they're hydropower plants that are part of the system. Okay? We can't deny it. Okay? It's just created a new way for us to use the frequency, those hydropower plants.
Yeah. Okay, so what did that bring up for any of you? Any questions there?
Well, I went and printed my book cover because I
Yes, show it. Beautiful. Mastering
Can you
Emotion.
see it? Can you see it,
Yes.
Julie? Okay.
Yes.
Beautiful. Thanks for sharing that.
Wow, beautiful cover.
It's available on Amazon.
And yeah, you have to search
Hey,
for it.
plug. Hey, this is mine.
Yes.
This is the dream I read early on, you know.
Martina, you're going to have some copies, so if anybody's interested in finding out more, you can, or I can
Absolutely.
send you the link, because it's really hard to find among 2,000 books.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much. And
Towards the bottom.
I will pass that on. Absolutely. Okay, so I would like to just have a quick look at the Aurora Borealis. I would like, okay, one thing. Where are the dreaming memories stored? They are stored, as far as we've learned through Andrew, they're stored in the crystalline, there's a crystalline environment in the skull cap where the dreaming memories and the heart memories are stored.
No.
Oh,
The
God.
file tree of how to get there is stored in the skull cap. The map. The map in the skull cap is the map to get to them, the file tree. The actual memories are in the DNA.
Right. Okay, so the map is there. So the
skull cap is the map.
Yes, it's the map, and the brain axis is the map there. Okay, but it's in the DNA. Okay, makes sense anyway, because everything is holographically stored everywhere. Okay, so thanks for the correction there. Aurora Borealis. Anything?
When you activate your crown chakra, you're activating a mini Aurora Borealis in your crown, thus the dreaming frequency.
Ah, okay, so that's the link.
Wow.
Yeah. And then when we're expelling, our rectum is the opposite of our third eye, which then is getting the negative dreaming frequencies and stuff out of it.
Right. Okay. It's through the crown to the Aurora Borealis. Okay. And then we're connecting to the north and the south pole, to the 7 future and to the 7 past generations.
Because we're giving them fertilizer, yes.
Right. Okay.
That's helpful.
Does anyone want a bit more on that, since we've got Andrew here, because he might be able, well, he will be able to say more to that.
Before Andrew came on, I was just asking the question, Martina, about what the difference might be in the way we can process a dream if we can't remember it consciously. Do we lose any of it? Because I understand it is in the cell anyway. And does that manifest, irrespective of how much of it we can actually remember consciously?
So how much energy behind is a memory is important. There are a lot of people that find themselves where the memory is potent but fades very fast. That means the amplitude or the amount of energy behind it is there for a short period of time. And a dream has a certain amount of time to make a manifestation in the dream and then to be transferred to long-term memory. And there are a lot of times that dreams, the amplitude is really high, but the charge behind it isn't. And it is when we wake up right away, that we can add charge and amplitude to it so it becomes manifested. So there are some dreams that are super powerful. I'll never forget it. And an hour later, it's gone. And that's how the body plays a part in short-circuiting the memory process.
And if it's gone, is it actually gone, or is it stored somewhere in the cells?
Well, it's downloaded into the DNA, but it's going to have a low, it's not going to have a super bright yellow highlighter on it. It's going to be small text, hard to find.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
Yes, go for it.
All right. Of course, I've learned a lot of things over the years, as each of you have. You know, you have your perspectives and visions and everything. But the one thing that is said is that we actually are living computers.
No,
And
we're algorithms.
well, explain that.
Tomato, tomato.
Computer is a piece of hardware. We're an algorithm. An algorithm is a continuous, infinite string of perception and numbers in which a DNA instrument of experience processes into many different colors of time and space.
All right. That's simple.
Let me say it in different words. Yeah, it's I've written that down. It's again Andrew's words, but slightly different. A human being is a data processing machine. The suit that you wear is the technology. The dreaming world is the infinite energy, and the finite energy comes into the body. Your words transcribed. No. Does that make more sense? Or does that add to what Andrew just said? Does that help?
No, I kind of feel that from my experience in life, you go through experiences, and then once you've read whatever you've learned what you need to, then it's on to the next story. That's how I've experienced life. All is learning experiences. And I'm starting to think that, well, you were talking about algorithms, and I'm starting to wonder, you know, there's the watcher and we're the ones being watched. You know, that was one of the first questions posed in a class I had a long time ago. Who is the watcher? And I've been posing that question to myself a lot lately, because I'm starting to see that stories seem to have a beginning. They're created to teach. And then once you learn the lesson, something new appears. So I'm starting to look at it as maybe like the holodeck on Star Trek, that we experience it and then we go into a new story.
That's why I called it a DNA instrument of experience. And there may be some sheet music, and when that sheet music is done, that orchestra is over. Or you might get the saxophone, the trumpet, and the trombone added to that experience. Because sometimes experiences end, and then there's something else that picks up that relates to it.
Okay.
Well, that's
I need to, I want to look more into your perspective of dreaming. I really do. Maybe it's time to do that. But it's like a whole new field of experience that perhaps I'm not going to process until I start getting involved.
Effort.
It's just
take enthusiastic effort.
okay.
There's a lot of free stuff Andrew has out there, you know, which you can download from YouTube, and you just Google, you just put in Dreamtime, you know, and obviously you can always ask one of us, you know, and we will be able to guide you in the right direction here, you know.
Okay.
What you're saying about each experience and then end like a holodeck, that's very accurate. But you can have more than one holodeck program running at once and learn from all of them at once. It's like reading a book that has 5 or 6 foreshadows, and then one foreshadow comes and you're waiting for the next one and the next one and then something else.
I can grasp that.
Yeah. Different characters on different parts of the storyline. Now, something else I like to say is there comes a point where we have to choose not to get lost in the story. And there's a reason behind that. We are here to experience now. And when we are resolving a lot of then, which is quite vastly necessary for many of the souls out there, we forget how to really be now. And part of you writing your book was to be here now. And all the experiences you resolved from then were about you being here now,
Okay.
so that the book could be manifested, so you can go not necessarily to the future, but experience past, present, and future as part of a simultaneous non-competition existence.
Yeah. And I've also been taught that we create our future by what we do today. So that's why I kind of focus more into today and resolving things today. And then tomorrow works, whatever it is.
And what if now is the time to, I wouldn't say stop resolving, but start creating, revealing our multidimensionality, you know, like calling forth all our multidimensional shards, parts, and avatars. And what if Dreamtime is one of the best ways of doing that, or one of the ways, let's call it that, one of the ways to really get a glimpse into our infinite sort of makeup. You know, we've all come here from different worlds, from different, you know, astral worlds, different homes, to have a Dreamtime experience together.
Yeah.
And to be able to learn about our Akashic records, you know, and our lifetime, everything. And this is the excitement of this global Dreamtime awakening now, because now we can do that. And all it takes, I wouldn't say all it takes, but what it takes is to clear our old shit. Now, you've done that, Salome, and there will always be more stuff, you know, we all have.
Oh, yeah.
And what's next? What else is possible out there now? How can we really use our infinite perspectives and possibilities to bring it all together, and not out-body experience, but bringing all that infinite stuff into the finite vehicle of experience?
Yeah.
Part of self-mastery is learning what your internal agenda is daily. And understanding we change the agenda of our personal experience through self-mastery.
I call it facing self.
Same
And that's not it's not an easy thing to do at times.
Facing self.
But it's like I can't even express the high that one can get when they release something. It's just incredible. I think we're coming from the same place, almost, only in different perspectives of it.
That's what I just said. Same thing, different words.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I ask, what do you mean by self-mastery?
It means that one has, how do I put it in words? All right, you're learning about something.
Talk about it.
You take you're learning about a topic. Let's say your story is you're in the midst of learning about a topic, and you see it from every different angle. I mean, sometimes when I get my layers, they're from different perspectives. It's like I might see it from one perspective, then I see it from the opposite perspective, then another one may come in before. It's like honing a diamond, the facets of a diamond. You're cleaning each facet until finally you see the whole picture. And then you go, wow, now I get it. And it's all over with. You don't have to deal with it again. And to me, that's mastering whatever that story is. You know, when you've learned something and completed it, you've mastered it. You don't have to deal with it anymore. It only comes into our awareness because we need to learn something from it. And if you can't, a lot of people just don't understand that, and that's why they get the patterns of repetitiveness. I love the movie Groundhog Day because it kind of explains it that way. You try all these different things till you finally grasp the lesson of what you're meant to learn from it, and you've honed it to make it a beautiful story or a beautiful music or something. So you don't have to deal with it anymore. It's mastered. And I've gone through 45 years of exploring and experiencing and dealing with emotions from every angle. I haven't even shared most of it in my book, but it's been an incredible journey, one that I'm glad to be on this side of. It's been quite a journey, but I've seen them and what they are, and I've seen them as imprints of memory. I've seen them as experiences that once were, but they keep invading our present moments of now, until finally you're able to find out why it keeps coming back. It's like a pattern that repeats itself. And once you're able to realize what that is and resolve the issue, you've done it, you've mastered it. I mean, that's my perspective. I don't know, everybody might have a different version of mastering it. It doesn't, mastering is saying you don't have to deal with it, or it doesn't affect you the way it originally does.
Thank you, Salome. And thanks, Jill, for the question. I think what we're going to do with that one, we're going to actually make a new topic out of self-mastery. I think that's quite a big topic. It has lots and lots of stuff. And I'll bring you back on if you, and then we talk about that. Did that help a little bit? I just don't want to go too far away from the Dreamtime. Did that help a little bit? No.
We are multi-galactic, multi-dimensional, multi-universal layers. How would you ever possibly master all the different?
Oh no, you just go on to new things. I mean, Andrew's a master of his topic. He's explored it, and you know, everybody has something in their world that they learn a lot about. So mastering means that now I'm ready to move on to other things. My teacher once said, you never get it all. The more you learn, the less you know. And that's so true. So now it's time to move on to other things. I've mastered that specific area. I don't have to learn it anymore. And it's just moving on to the next thing.
Yeah. Jill, if you look at it from a place of, you know, when you work on a certain energy, let's say receiving, I mean, that's a big energy, working on receiving. Once you get more at ease with that energy, you become the energy. You know, you become the energy of receiving, and you don't have to consciously and constantly be triggered by in order to, yeah. So it's just a little bit, but it's a big topic. We can talk about that.
It is.
And if you look in the chat room, there's 2 paragraphs that I want you to read out loud, and you're gonna have an aha moment about self-mastery from these 2 paragraphs.
Okay, Jill, off you go. Read it loud for us. Can you see it, Jill, in the chat?
Andrew, you read?
Yeah, read it for us.
Where do I find it?
In the chat, darling. If you just go chat, on the chat, it will be there.
Okay, got it. Okay. To seek change is to go against the grain of those demanding conformity and ideologically and cultural patterns of limitations, truly advancing to the unknown with a choice to make it known, letting go of fear, envy, and resentment, flying aloft of the wings of understanding, enjoying the reckless abandonment of shedding off the miscomfort's will to suppress your desire to know the unknown. It is your birthright and your legacy as a conscious being to choose on the path of self-mastery. The bold and disciplined invite need to grow. It is our savior from the fearful masses who will never hold their power until they are faced with the internal demons and shed off the needs of the conformed masses who have forgotten that the courage is a choice. What awaits them is the presence of choice itself and the potential power of living in the natural moment of now.
Does that give you the definement to self-mastery?
Yeah, it does. Sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody, but I think it would be very dull to spend that much time on yourself. Is that, sorry, I don't mean that offensively, but.
We're not offended, darling. Don't worry.
But to spend so much time just wrapped up in your own space, in your own headspace, I don't know, that for me, it just feels.
Classic type A personality who's always in her space.
What should I do differently?
All right, I'm not so self-absorbed in it. You see, when I look out in the world, I look at it as a world of teaching, a world of learning things from. And from looking out there, it helps me look within. It helps me to see more of my inner world, because we can't see ourselves. So we're reflected a lot in the outer world. And that's what, I refer to as the mirror image. Reflecting in the outer world shows us who we are by how others treat us. If we don't like how others treat us, we have to look within and find out what it is within ourselves that we're projecting out there. And that's what we do. We project ourselves out in the world in some fashion. And I mean, this is a bit of my perception. It's hard to express everything that I've learned in a few words, but the other thing is, while you were talking, while Andrew was talking, another thing I remembered was the fact that when you learn something, you reabsorb it back into your beingness. It's there, it doesn't go away, but it's now knowledge and wisdom. It becomes wisdom, part of a being's wisdom. So anything that you learn, or any subject that you really focus on and you learn about, and when you're talking to other people about it, it becomes part of the wisdom that you can share with others.
Okay.
So maybe that's a better explanation. I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll explore that emotional mastery. So thanks for bringing that up, Jill. I think that's a good topic, and we will nail you to the chair to be here next time when we talk about it.
Excellent.
So you can't go off and do something else, all right? Okay, guys, what else is there? Are there any particular questions? We're going on for 90 minutes already, but we have an opportunity with Andrew being here, and he might not be here next time. Maybe he is, I don't know.
We can invite him again.
We will invite him.
Okay, I have no sessions till this afternoon.
You have those sessions this afternoon?
Well, this until 4 o'clock today, so I got a little bit more time.
Right. So yeah, I mean, guys, choose the opportunity. Any questions?
I've got a personal one, Andrew, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Sorry, Andrew, do you mind if I ask something personal?
Sure, go ahead. I get it asked all the time.
When I was about, I don't know, late teens, 20s, that year I slept the entire year. And I think it had some, I think that my DNA was harvested. That's what I think it was. Can you shed any light on that?
What year was it?
I think I was about 19.
No, what was the actual year?
1990, 1993, 91, between 91 and 93.
Try to be a little bit more accurate in your actual memory.
Were you still in South Africa or here?
Yeah. So I was born in 73, so it was probably around about 92.
So it was the year before you graduated, or the year of your graduation?
The year after I left school, yeah.
And you didn't go right to university?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
So did you keep part of your university year away, or did you go to classes and stuff?
No, I lived at home, and then I just go to classes during the day.
And then sleep all day long after you'd come home?
Yeah.
You were actually transiting timelines. You were trying to figure out what the optimal timeline you were going to be on was, and you ended up on this timeline instead of a parallel timeline. As for harvesting, yes, that's a general part of somebody that sleeps away a year, especially when they're at a point of determining if university is going to give you a timeline of, marriage, family, friends, what a solidified future was going to be for you. Now, that's probably because your lineage, your mother and father, their mother and father, and their mother and father before them have been harvested since time immemorial. But there came a point where your dream harvesting ended and you made a final manifestation on the timeline, which is where you are now with the family and friends that you have now.
Okay.
It was a necessary trauma and benefit to get to this linear time. And it was planned before your birth.
Okay.
And it's like a slot machine that's fixed. Okay? Okay? A fixed slot machine.
Okay. Okay.
So during that year, do you remember much of it?
Not really, no.
Do you have pictures from that era?
Not many photos. My parents weren't really into photos. No, not really. No, not really.
Do you have any at all?
A few.
Go and find them and make it a point to try to really use your alpha brain to connect to that girl of what did she do the month before and after that picture. And try to allow yourself to bring a memory to the surface.
Okay.
You're going to pack a lot of information there about what actually was occurring in your life journey there.
Okay.
And maybe just to add one thing, this is not a walk-in situation, swapping timelines.
No.
Okay.
It's what she needed to get. She got born in the wrong timeline, and the soul knew it. And to get to the real timeline and to get to the fixed slot machine, there are some things she had to go through.
Yeah.
Wow.
To get to the right casino with the right fixed slot machine that boop put you on the right timeline.
Mm.
Wow. Okay.
So that just gives an indication what we're doing in the unseen world.
Yeah.
Our knowingness.
A lot of negotiating in the dream world.
Exactly. And that's
a lot of negotiating.
So if that was all the negotiating in the dream world, is that potentially one of the reasons that my dream, that I don't really remember the dreams now?
I think it has more to do with your type A do personality, but yes, there's some factor to it. Type A personality people are two things: super connected to their dreams or completely disconnected to them. There's very few that are in between.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's just the way you learn to live. And it's not a bad thing. It's made you who you are today. And self-mastery can allow you to once again regain those dream spaces when you start saying that first 10 minutes is mine, type A personality. It's not anyone else's. I don't have to think linearly here. I can go back and finish my dream.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
I have a question.
Sure.
The Mandela effect, what they call the Mandela effect.
Mm-hmm.
How does that relate to all this? I had an experience about that, and I'm just wondering, is this related to what you're talking about?
Sort of. I have a whole revocation on the Mandela effect. It's like 17 pages of defining what it is. But
Right. It's a weird experience, I'll tell you that.
It's a consequence and retribution of karma, as well as a bleed through from other times. So they have shifted our reality and moved soul shards onto other realities, so we would be fragmented in our memories. Now, I've had many Mandela effects where, like, different things that I remembered, superstars that have died that never died, and watching news that this happened and it never happened on this timeline. Now, it is a consequence and retribution for all those who have been manipulating time. It's a way for the universe to fix the fixed slot machine back into natural order. Okay? That's my metaphor. And I'll tell you what, I'll give you guys the file here. It's a long one. So it's inside the chat. It is a self-explanatory process of understanding we are going through what I call the great remembering of who we are, and what we can do past, present, and future.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It also helps us to find the forgotten pieces of ourselves that have been manipulated and put outside of time. And that's what you've been doing, is going to lost versions of yourself who never got resolution, finding them, and as the manifestation, giving them resolution through an experience. And the Mandela effect, when looked at in a different perception and perspective, we can generate manifestations on the forgotten side where they're no longer forgotten. And then the system must deal with them as remembered and not forgotten.
Right. With my book, my intention behind it, because I experienced so much emotions and I learned so much about emotions, is more or less to reach people who are suffering, who don't know what they're experiencing. And, you know, that was the main intention behind it. And that's the kind of people I hope to reach with it.
You're there to help them reach the trauma. We need that. I say we need 1 billion healers in this world. And most of them are going to be trauma releasers in many different forms.
Yeah. Remains to be seen where we're headed with that. I don't know, but.
Well, coronavirus is the gift that keeps on giving.
And that's why I was pushed to get this book out now, I think.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that coronavirus has done is letting people sleep in.
Yeah.
Reconnect to that dream world again. Yeah. And even the CNN news anchors are talking about people dreaming, and they're trying to call it group hallucinations and that you can't share dreams. And they're bringing scientists on to say that dreams aren't real because they know everyone's starting to wake up to the, hey, we're sharing a dream. And we haven't shared it. We've been living in the same house for 50 years and we haven't shared a dream. Why now?
What's your perspective on 5G?
Ooh, you may not like this, but it's a big scare tactic. This is the year we're supposed to raise the money for 5G. And 5G is dangerous, yes, but nowhere near as dangerous as the myth that's been created by the conspiracy theorists.
Okay, because there's like connecting dots between not only the 5G, but, well, it's like 1984 manifesting. That's all I can say.
There are far worse things than 5G that are out there that have been out there for a long time, like extreme, like ELF frequencies, like ELF broadcasters, extremely low frequency broadcasters. That's what makes whales' brains blow up underwater. Okay, and they do that all the time. We have ELF broadcasters everywhere. The military uses them now. They're far worse. Okay. And this 5G is just a handful of satellites and some towers right now. That's all that it is. This was the year they were supposed to raise $50 billion to put towers and satellites everywhere.
They're putting it in my neighborhood, in my the area near my neighborhood. So.
Right. They're going to try to put it everywhere. Wherever there's an existing tower, they're going to put something else on it.
Yeah.
But don't be so worried about it.
I'm not. I'm just, I pulled myself out of that fear mongering, but it's, you know, there's two sides to every story. So it could go one direction or the other, and which direction I want to go is, of course, the other. So.
And if we locked into the fear, we'll never grow, will we?
No.
Right. Which is the thing, it's getting lost in the story. 5G is a big story with a trilogy with 7 other books that are attached to it, and has all this drama to keep us attracted. We just need to let go of the story and understand the facts. That's it.
Yeah.
And that goes with a lot of the conspiracies out there. Just understand the facts and let go of the story.
That's what I do. In fact, I'm trying to teach my son that, in the sense that I'm just sharing this with you. Learn, be aware, but don't get involved. Just be aware, because the awareness is half the battle. And
yeah, but some people's awareness is stuck in what I call curiosity learning, and that's the worst and most destructive form of learning.
Yeah,
because you can have your belief system instantly changed by one curiosity document, and you didn't realize you were open to the energy coming in.
So give us a quick definition of curiosity learning for anyone who hasn't heard that expression.
Oh, I'm a YouTube researcher. I'm this, that. Oh, what's the conspiracy of today? Oh, flat earth. I haven't looked at that. Let me look at it. Oh my God, look at all these comments. Flood, flood, flood. Is the earth really flat? No way. comment, video. Oh shit, maybe the earth is flat. You've just dulled yourself down through curiosity learning.
So it's more of a distraction rather than really working and on your inner trust.
Not always. You're open to the energy which diffuses your will to have logical, linear processing and understanding in a multidimensional way.
Okay,
it's like opening up your blueprint and then altering your blueprint with the ideologies.
Okay, so that's where self-mastery comes back in again, and manifesting your
because I can look at
if you wish.
I can look at flat earth and see the points that connect, but understand it's still bullshit. Okay.
Okay, not buying into it, not entangling with it.
The buying is more as you're selling yourself out. Buying versus sell out. You're more selling yourself out to this flood of information that overwhelms your capacity to maintain who you are in the beliefs of what you say reality is or isn't.
Yeah.
That's what the state of curiosity learning, it leaves you more open to that position of flooded.
Yeah. And it takes you out of taking responsibility for the level of awareness that you already have. So you basically, okay.
And the bottom line is what you focus on is what you manifest.
And that what you looks back at you. Yeah.
Good. Have we got any other questions? We can go off piste here. Absolutely fine, since we have the opportunity. As long as you don't ask for your purpose, Andrew will be happy to.
Well, your purpose was to ask that question. Now you have no more purposes left.
Can I ask something?
Sure.
I'm sure I was visited in my house by some beings. Okay. And they came into my house, and I remember shouting at them, and there was a big blue light that went out the front window, and it was something that stuck in my mind, and it was just absolutely mind blowing. It was just the most surreal experience I've ever had.
When was this?
About 3 or 4 years ago.
Do you know, can you give me any other description about the beings themselves, what they felt like, what they look like?
In my mind, they came through the front door, and I remember they opened the door, and I was, obviously this was all in, like, it wasn't a reality. It was, they came and I was pushing them, and I was like, don't come in. And I don't remember what they looked like. And I just remember screaming, get the fuck out of my house. And this big blue light, this big blue ball just went through the window, and then they were gone.
So you acted in a fear state, and that was some ancestor spirits that were visiting you.
Oh, messed it up.
No, they didn't knock. Sometimes the ancestor spirits are rude and they don't understand personal space. Okay, Martina, imagine if somebody knocked on your door and there were 10 people out there who said we're having a party in your house now without telling you.
Yeah.
How would you feel?
That infinite body.
Exactly. Okay. So, but there are other people who are open. Oh, you're having a surprise party for me now? Great, come on in.
So what can I do to ask them back in a more invited, more expected way?
Have a party and invite them to the party and make sure they RSVP. Okay. I'm having my 46th birthday party, or I'm going to have a party for myself, and I'm inviting those ancestor spirits that are not Trailer Trash Soul Family, okay? The honest ones that are going to bring cake. They're going to bring potluck. They're not there to freeload off of you, okay? And this is where you park. This is where the house is. This is where the doorbell is, with direct instructions, and say, come and visit me in the picnic of my dreaming mind.
Okay.
I have a friend who has visitors, and I always have to remind her, well, did you ask who they are? Did you want to find out why they were there? She never asks questions. So maybe next time if they come, ask them who they are and why they're there.
Ask that's well, when you invite them, you get to say, oh, your cousin blah blah blah, or your auntie this.
Okay. Oh, now I feel bad that I chased them away now.
So they were there to have a surprise party on you, and you weren't dressed or ready, and you just shooted them away. It's again, they don't have personal respect for our space because they're not in bodies.
Invite us too, Jill. We come too to the Dreamtime party.
Yeah, for sure. I invite you
I want to meet the Gloom people too. Thanks for that, Jill. Sue, did you have a question? I thought I heard you say something.
No, not particularly. I suppose just been thinking about our bodies, because in terms of good dream space, so aware about the small intestine, and I don't know what thoughts do we have on being able for the doers to be able to really go into a healing sleep. I have a lot of issues with sleep. I don't get enough of it, and I don't think I'd go very deep into it.
Do you have
So
sleep? Do you have sleep apnea?
I think I have issues breathing in my sleep.
Then the answer is you do, and the reason you're not getting good sleep is because your airways are clogged up, and your body's going through a moment twice a minute, 4 times a minute. And what you have to do is learn how to sleep in a different position, or you can go and get some of the things that are called snore aids. There's bandages that put on your nose, and you got to start experimenting with those. There's little jaw caps that hold the jaw up, and as well as CPAP machines.
Okay.
Other than that, you have to understand that your body, when it's asleep, it has some protective programs that it goes through because of nightmares in the past, traumas that have occurred, or just plain paranoias and fears as you're falling asleep that you learned as a kid. And you've got to begin to actively deprogram those with certain powerful loving techniques before you go to sleep. The use of tryptophan, learning to sleep in a better position. And then when the body's starved for sleep over long periods of time, you actually wake up and you're still in the dreaming state for a few hours, and then you wake up. And that's actually a little harmful to the body, but is very beneficial to your spiritual awakening. Because you're more in the lucid state for most of your waking life.
That's true as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So tryptophan, those things those mouth guards, those are really good too. You just got to start experimenting with them, as well as looking at a CPAP machine. And if that's too much for you, mouth guards, the nose pieces, there's special pillows that you can get to that fix your head in one position.
Andrew, what do you call this machine? CPAP.
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 DPAP.
Yeah. Okay. CPAP.
CPAP. Okay.
It's isn't it one of the isn't it like a respirator that they're using for this COVID right now?
Ventilator, very different.
Ventilator.
Continuing process of air. It basically keeps your airway open the whole time, and air coming in and out of your lungs, so your throat can't close down when your head turns. It continuously keeps air going through your lungs.
So that's out of the question for the time being, because that will be used in hospitals at the moment.
You can get them on Amazon for like $60.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Cool. Fantastic. Is there anything else we want to talk about in terms of dreaming or dreams themselves?
How many people snore?
My cat does.
No one raised your hand. No one snores. You're all in denial of your snoring.
Sometimes
we don't know.
no.
The only time I know is when it wakes me up. That's the only time.
So tell us about it. What's
snort?
So snort and snoring are very indicative of deep sleep, where the body has finally gone into paralysis mode, and that's very good. But there are times that the snoring resonation alters the dream.
Yeah.
Okay?
fascinating? Who would think of that?
Yeah, it totally is a sound that is altering the dream.
Wow.
Through the sound, through the vibration of the sound, it changes the experience?
Wow.
Yeah. That's why
Then how would you know if you're snoring? If it doesn't wake you up, how do you know you're snoring?
A lot of time you wake up in the dream going, am I dreaming? And that's
Is
usually
that
from snoring. That's usually from snoring.
So
What
when
about
you say,
is that a parasympathetic thing, the snoring?
No, it's a body position thing. And then
Right.
the body learns to stay in a position as a habit pattern. Like everyone's got a position that they fall asleep in, and they can't fall asleep if they're not in the position. That's generally how humanity works, right?
yeah.
If you all have to sleep on your left side and you were forced to sleep on your right side, could you actually fall asleep in a night without having to turn over onto your left side? Try it one night. Try being in the completely opposite position of you normally falling asleep and see what happens.
That would be good practice, actually, wouldn't it? To get out of that habit pattern.
What's the snort that wakes you up? I don't think I snore, but sometimes I snort and wake myself up.
That is, you stopped breathing and suddenly the parasympathetic has kicked in and made you breathe because you've actually stopped breathing.
Oh, okay.
That's what sleep apnea is. You stop breathing for a certain period of time and you're losing oxygen. And then the parasympathetic kicks on. And
Is that because you're in such a deep sleep?
sort of, but it's more of the sleep apnea condition itself.
Right.
The
So
airway shutting down, closing down from improper neck position, jaw open too much, teeth chipping, grinding of teeth.
Go, Sue.
No, I was just going to say, I probably do snore as well, and have the odd snort with the apnea as well. Lovely. My worst culprit is that I groan. I make terrible, or sometimes quite fun, apparently. I just groan in my sleep, like all the time. So it doesn't make me a very comfortable bedfellow.
Are you in body pain?
The noises have been like a lifelong condition, as far as I know. So I am in body pain, but
yeah, so
I don't think that was the root of it originally.
No, you've been in body pain for a long time.
Oh, bless me. Okay, as long as I can remember, everyone jokes about it when they sleep with me, or I can't share rooms with people because I'm like, I'm groaning like a lawnmower most of the time, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Can I interject something from my perspective? And has anybody ever heard of Inna, I think pronounce it right, Inna Siegel?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, I use her book a lot because having grown up through first being a massage therapist and getting into different modalities of healing and then into this emotional thing, I've come to learn that underlying most of what manifests in the body is something that needs to be looked at. And that's what emotions are. They're teachers. They're actually signs and indicators to say, hey, pay attention. There's something inside you have to look at. And usually it's something that has to be resolved. I mean, it's like everything is kind of interconnected in that regard, but the physical body experiences maybe a pain or maybe discomfort. And it's really just saying to your conscious mind, hey, pay attention. And I found there were cycles of pain that the more I ignored it in the beginning before I learned all this stuff, the more I ignored it, the louder the pain became. So have you ever been aware that something comes back to you in a cycle, but it's stronger than before?
Oh, yeah.
It's only saying to you, hey, you didn't pay attention the first time. Now I'm going to get your attention. And that it did. It got my attention. But it's like very interconnected, and emotions have something to show you, to teach you. They're not anything to be afraid of, but a lot of people are afraid of their emotions. So if you're experiencing pain or discomfort somewhere in the body, or, however you experience it, that's really the time to go within and look.
Yeah. So
there's something to share.
at an early age, she took on whatever her mother and father's arguments and distresses are as an emotional body pain.
Yeah.
Your parents argue a lot around you?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Susan?
Oh, her.
No, I think yeah, for sure. I was a little bit like the shock absorber in the family on a lot of emotional stuff, really.
And you just converted that to active body pain because you couldn't handle the emotions anymore. And doing what Salome was saying about doing some kind of emotional traumatic release from that would probably help you get to learn to sleep again.
Okay, great. I'm really happy to do that journey. Done a lot of it in a journey, and so yeah, I'm happy to go deep dive on that one and see what I can come up with. Because something as basic as not sleeping, I'm not going to get the wider breakthroughs necessarily.
If you weren't in coronavirus lockdown, I'd tell you and go and do like 20 or 30 flotation tanks and be super disciplined of it. You can retrain yourself how to sleep again. Flotation, you know what a flotation tank is?
Yeah, I did. I was fortunate enough to have a chat with you, Andrew, year before last, going into the new year. We were just into the new year, and you advised me on the colonics and the tanks. And the tanks were a very painful and wonderful experience. And I got it up to 2-hour tanks.
Good for you.
I think I did 10 2-hour tanks in the end, and it really did help. But my feeling is I should have done the colonics as well, which you advised me on, but I financially prioritized the tanks, and it did help a lot.
You can learn to do the colonics at home with your home colonic kit or a Kalima board, and you can do it for very cheap, or just buy a 2-week colon cleansing kit.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Start off gently.
Ways to cleanse the colon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's my next commitment.
And when we're not in lockdown, craniosacral therapy will really help with the emotional releases.
Do you know what? I agree. Cranial sacral has been a key. I actually have a friend in the UK, and she's one of the most qualified people. She's been doing it since she was about 17, and wow. She's in her 50s now. And she took me on an incredible journey. And as I was cycling back from that one, 13 bats flew in my path, Andrew. I was like, that okay. I know what one shaman's death is. I don't want to see what 13 is going to be doing for me.
Rebirth. That's what it's mean. Rebirth, rebirth, rebirth.
I know, times 13. So yeah, I think I'm ready to embark on another big, deep dive into that cleansing process and see if we can't bust this dream space issue once and for all.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if I can just add on a slightly different level, looking at the pain as an intensity that is stuck in your molecular structure, and from looking at it, what type of intensity are you actually holding back? How intense are you? How what a creator are you? And I know you, Sue, you are a very strong, passionate creator. And often when we're holding back, that intensity gets stuck in ourselves. I see a lot of that within myself. So I just want to mention that, maybe to look at.
Me too. I get intensity stuck inside me all the time, and it creates all sorts of things that I have to go and resolve. And I'm like, damn it, why did I do that again? Damn it, why did I do that again?
Yeah.
Well, I subconsciously chose.
Yeah. Yeah. As movement, bringing movement into for the physicality, you know, to actually get rid of that, you know, intensity that is stuck in the cells. And also, you know, especially now with Earth retrograde, with what's going on Earth, the Earth is reaching out, just like you were, you know, asking about the dreaming body of the Earth. I think, you know, as we are also interlinked, I think the Earth is also reaching out towards us to ask for assistance, right? That can be sometimes part of the intense pain that we are perceiving. Okay.
So Sue, something else you should seriously just get on Amazon and buy is, do you have like a foot bath that is an infrared thing built inside it?
No, but I responded really well to the infrared when I went to the tanks.
So you can buy an infrared mat that you can lay on for about 80, 90 bucks, and you can buy an infrared foot bath. I would highly recommend that for you. And like one that has a built-in massager and infrared heater while your feet are soaking in it.
Thank you. I think that's lovely.
Yeah. This goes for anyone right now. That infrared foot sauna bath can really just help move some stagnant energy.
I've never heard of that. No. Infrared.
Yeah, basically it's infrared heat inside the foot bath. That's all it is.
Suck out the toxicity.
Yep. And then it's got a vibrating pad inside it too, and it just literally sucks everything right out of your feet. Remember, your feet have the most amount of pores in your whole body.
I'm gonna investigate that.
Or an old wife's thing? No, what do you call it?
Old wife's tale.
Yeah. No, a remedy actually. We used to do at home in Austria. Half an onion. Cut an onion on the soles of the feet. Yes. And the next day, you got a black onion.
Yes,
a lot
The Enoki foot pads were based off of that old wives' tale, the onion on the foot.
Is it?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It does work, yeah.
Yeah, so cool.
There's another thing too, it's called earthing, and they have mats. I have one at home, and I use it to energize, you know, when I'm feeling a little low. But it's like this big, thick book about it. I haven't read it, but you know, I do have a mat.
Mm-hmm. And then they sell sheets. They sell sheets also. Yeah. But they can be weird. You can feel like a static electricity build up over your body after a while. What that's signaling to you is a rapid electrical change in your body, and it's grounding it out. And a lot of people have these rapid electrical changes to go into deep sleep. Like a lot of people, they have to overwhelm themselves with a circuit energy to fall asleep.
Yeah. I used it on my bed. I have the mat, and I used it to sleep with. And for a while, it seemed to work. But then my sleep patterns weren't comfortable, so I took the mat off the bed. And now I'm back to.
Same with me.
I use it for feet.
Couldn't stick with it.
I just use it for my feet now.
Yeah, I use the grounding mat now. Just I put my feet on the grounding mat.
Now, all of those very good tools and techniques you've just brought up, guys, are going to help to improve, of course, the dreaming.
Yeah.
It's all part of that spiritual hygiene, physical hygiene, all that type of stuff, you know? So, yeah. Okay. If anybody got another one pressing question, anything they want to say, and then we let Andrew go. He's got his, sessions, and we've done 2 hours now, so that's pretty cool. Anything related to dreaming?
I have one very quick one. It's just, people talk about daydreaming. Is daydreaming in any way connected to the dreaming body, or is it just the mind taking time out?
Good question. What makes a dream a dream?
That's a better question.
Are you in the delta state? Are you in the lucid state when you're daydreaming? There are times where daydreaming and really we're fantasizing. The journey of fantasizing does lead to some delta process, but not always. Is your mind calm? Have you entered that state where the wavelength is really low instead of the alpha? There are alpha daydreaming things where really I'm coming up with concepts. but I'm slowing my environment so I can be in my brain, not necessarily connected to the heart. True daydreaming is you're entering that high theta state, and you cycle between high theta, deep delta, high theta, deep delta, where you're actually where you're going through a cycle of huge volumes of your brain start processing whatever it is that the theta mind is working on.
Yes.
So that's a little bit what Einstein used to do, isn't it? Where he got all his impulses and his ideas from.
Mm-hmm. It's also a form of meditation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, and it happens unconsciously. You know, people daydream with, I mean, I'm talking from myself. It's not something I would plan on doing, but I find myself in it.
Look at the mechanics of what you're daydreaming about. Not the actual daydreaming, the mechanics of what you're doing. Am I tuning everyone out? Am I entering that state of self-pleasure? What is my agenda for doing it? Is there no agenda behind it? And then you'll be able to see kind of the structure you set up for your daydreaming process. Like I have these daydreaming processes, which are about my stories that I'd like to write, or I go into the story that I've written and I think of the characters and the dialogue, and I'm not typing anything, but I'm evolving the story that I write. That's a form of fantastical, creative energy. And then there are the times that I'm daydreaming where I'm talking to multidimensional beings. And then there are times that I'm daydreaming about work. Each one's a different agenda.
And would you plan that before you daydream? Is it just something you drift into?
Most of the time it's a choice for me independently. Like I've got a few free hours where I'm going to go to walk at the park and I'm in my mind, but connected to my heart. So technically I'm daydreaming and walking.
Yes, I spend quite a bit of time daydreaming. That's why I asked you the question. I don't think it's always planned, though. I think it's more, you know, switching off, switching out, or something like that.
It's pleasurable for you.
It is. Oh, yes. But I don't plan on where I go.
There are many people that get lost in their daydreams and never evolve themselves, though. That's the only way to get pleasure.
Yeah.
That's why I said, look at the structure of why you do it and what's the benefit that it gives you.
Yes.
And do I understand correctly, Mary, sometimes as you focus on something so intrinsically, you go into your daydream, isn't it? When you do the painting or when you know, so it's quite interesting.
Yes, if I'm painting, I'm painting, but I'm actually daydreaming. I remember my art teacher one time said to me that the painting takes me in and takes me out and takes me deeply back in. But I'm even thinking of daydreaming, you know, in terms of, you know, say I was at a lecture or something and I could find myself, or if I'm doing something even in the garden, I can be daydreaming away while I'm doing it.
Yeah. So it's probably, as long as you don't make it significant and, you know, it kicks in automatically as
it just kicks in, yes.
You enjoy.
And I can switch in and out, you know, of it all the time. I don't totally lose consciousness to where I am or anything like that. I'm totally aware of where I would be, but I don't need to keep my focus all the time on what it is I'm doing at any particular time. I can travel somewhere else and do what I'm doing at the same time. That's what it feels. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. It's something I don't want to stop doing.
I like to use the term you're ambidextrous with your dreaming frequency.
Okay.
You can use both equally in the different states. You can be in it and out of it, in it and out of it, in it and out of it at will.
Yes, during the day, yes.
That's very practiced, and that comes from you having to work with children a lot for many, many years in a row, because you've got to match their children frequency that are having issues and yet still be in your high frequency dreaming world, so you can go in and out, in and out, in and out easily. I learned that at the restaurant also. As a young kid, I have to do all this work, and my conscious brain has to do all this work, or they're going to yell at me, the dishes are this, they didn't cook it right. So I learned how to be here doing all that stuff, yet still in my mind creating and daydreaming.
Yes, that's very interesting that you said that when people yell at you and say you didn't cook it right, because I find that the daydreaming actually is a great kind of preservative somehow when I'm in a situation like that, where I can actually block it from totally entering, you know, criticism or something like that. I can actually block it from getting in.
Yep.
By my daydreaming state.
Exactly. Same with me.
Which I'm not actually consciously going into, but I seem to have a little button that I can just press where I'm seeing you, I'm hearing you, yes, but it's not really affecting me. That sounds like, you know, I'm not listening to them, I am, but it's not taking a big effect at the same time, because there's something in me that's a little bit elusive around it.
Exactly.
My husband has a big button when I talk to him. John! He's got it on all the time.
The word is called focus.
Exactly.
Very focused.
Right. It doesn't feel like focus, I have to say, Salome. It feels more like, I don't know, somehow or other drifting out, but maybe it is a focus that I'm not actually conscious of.
You know, I learned
Seems to take you
something.
to a no time zone, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, Laura.
Takes you to a no time zone.
The coin phrased by Andrew is, would hub of interconnectivity come into this?
Are you asking me?
Yes, it would come into this. It's not a stretch to say hub of interconnectivity. We're always a part of the hub of interconnectivity, but it's how much discipline of our discipline in a disciplined state that determines how the hub of interconnectivity will flow throughout the many versions of you who are in a state of focus, using discipline in many different layers to maintain an inner state of being and wellness.
Yeah. And at the same time, you are facilitating your environment in a state of connectivity. Yeah.
Yes, you haven't lost touch with that, with the environment. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mentioned I was a massage therapist, and I learned a lot during that period of time. And I used to volunteer at senior homes and with seniors. And one person, well, they all taught me a lot of things, but one person I remember in this nursing home, a woman was kind of not quite comatose, but not quite there. And the daughter thought her mother was discomforted, so she asked me to give her a light massage. And so I went to her, and she pushed me away. So she wasn't connected to the reality that we were in, but she was connected somewhere, because it happened 2 or 3 times. And she was literally telling me, don't bother me, you know, you're affecting me. So it made me realize that even though people don't appear to be here, they're somewhere.
Yeah.
And that was an interesting experience, is she was somewhere, but she didn't want to be here for some reason.
So her body was here, but she wasn't. Yeah.
Unless the brain or something was involved, I don't know the physicality of it, but you know, I honored her wishes. She made me realize, you know, you may think I'm not here, but I am. Go away.
Maybe she couldn't receive you, you know, your energy, your treatment.
I was obviously disturbing something.
Yeah.
And I went back to her daughter and I told her, you know, I can't do this for you. But, you know, it was just an interest. I mean, everything to me is learning something, you know, it's a constant field of awareness of, you know, new things. But that made me see that people who are restricted or seemingly restricted in, you know, maybe dementia or some type of mental illness They're somewhere. It just may not seem normal to us, but their consciousness is somewhere, maybe learning something that we're not aware of.
And you're saying something interesting here is because, if she wasn't in the body, who was? And maybe you got pushed away by something else that didn't want you. Yeah. So this is quite interesting when we check out how much we are opening ourselves up for entity.
Usually it's in comatose patient, it's the parasympathetic people. Most of the time, entities don't want to be with those patients because they get trapped.
Say that again, Andrew.
Usually in semi-comatose dementia-based patients, entities won't go actually in them because they'll get trapped in there, and it's the parasympathetic that they're rejecting.
Interesting. So they're quite choosy then, those entities. They don't go into comatose dementia, no?
No, because they can get lost in the rapid change of the dream world that they're in. Remember, the entity's trying to create something that's static that they can take control of. And the dementia has a chemical process where suddenly all of the greatest laid plans of the entity come done and it doesn't know where it's at. And it's looking for the exit.
Interesting.
Yes.
Good.
They do at times harvest energy out of comatose patients, but that's because they're risking a little something for themselves.
Or just for having the experience of being in a body, being in a body for some time. It's a bit boring, isn't it?
Entities that hang out in nursing homes are waiting to jump on the living. Okay? The ones that aren't already having major issues, the nurses, the parents, the kids, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So they may hide in the body to jump out of the body into someone else.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I gotta let you go. I gotta get ready. I've got a bunch of things I gotta do.
Okay.
But really fun.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for your contributions.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, thanks. Really appreciate it.
Everybody, we're just going to close it down then for all of us. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Dreaming is not just when we sleep. There's a lot of daydreaming too. There's so much more to talk about and to explore, and we haven't even started, looking at specific dreams or anything. We can do that at some stage too. So thank you very much for joining us, the Earth Nouveau team, and thank you, Andrew, for coming on. And next week, Wednesday, 5 p.m., Exploring Consciousness.
Can you stay on
Thank
for
you,
a moment?
everybody.
Can you stay on for a moment, Martina?
Say again?
Cheers. Bye.
Can you just stay on for a moment?
Yes.
Okay, so I can talk to you face to face.
Okay, let me just stop the recording. You want to download? You want to stop? Oh, no.
Nice to meet you, Salome.
Same here. Thank you. Very interesting.
Ta-ta for now.
Good luck for you with your breathing.
Bye. Bye.